Call me coach, she is all in your approach, you gotta come correct. When you're dealing with a godless king, show respect. Lefty said he begging for the heck you say. He said that I've been ducking in my totem, call me daffy. Same game, new lane, pop chain. Pass around your ankles like you in a chain gang, it's insane. It's tough, but live up to your potential. Don't have to be conformed, no, let them get in your mental. It's essential, cause we need you black kings and queens. And it's a shame they couldn't supply what they need. You see, first they wanna bone you, then they wanna clone you. Then they turn around and try to kill you with ammonia. They can't understand why you look so young and built so strong, and how the heck you live so long. And then they act like the color of your...
I know I play around a lot, but can you be serious right now? Like, at all?
But I am, though. Black people need to do better in general. We make it really hard to fight for us sometimes. I want to be able to stand up for us, but there's a distinct difference between a Negro and a black man.
I'm going to stop you right there, sir. Do you know how crazy that sounds coming out of a black man's mouth? You could be that same person you're talking down against. You never know how another black person feels, especially black men, when being pulled over for a traffic stop. Think about how many people have observed police and seen them interact horribly and overreact, causing a horrible situation to occur.
She's right.
Frankly, Malik, you sound dumb. I don't know if you were on one yesterday, but you already know how we feel about that. Everything you think does not need to come out your mouth.
Very much so. We should fight for everyone, even if they don't want help, because at least they'll have an option to do some of the stuff that we can't do now that white people do every day. We have to do what's right. You're right, every black person does not want the help, and they can fall right into the hands of the system. However, we should not let that stop us from pursuing what's right. They need leaders. Even if they're not the followers, someone will be.
Frankly, Trina, I don't really care. My opinion is valid and you know it. Nambia, I don't know why I'm supposed to fight for someone who doesn't care. You don't care and neither do I. My mentality, I'm sorry that y'all aren't woke enough to see it, but all skin folk ain't kin folk.
I get what you're trying to say, but at this moment, it isn't valid. We have to stick together, regardless if we think black people are doing their part or not. Can they really do their part if no one is stepping up?
So, correct me if I'm wrong, but you think the only black people that can get equality and justice are the people who are in the fight and want it. But not every single black person has to go through the same thing as another.
Don't put words in my mouth.
Then don't put any words in mine.
I never said that. What I said is that you can fight, but just know that some don't even want to be helped. Black Americans and Negroes are not the same here.
Damn, I'm glad we're getting off this bus because I'm 0.3 seconds away from knocking you back into slavery.
All I'm saying is that there can be no true reparations for black people until all of the black people in jail for nonviolent charges are let out, given the money and the land that we were promised, and dismantled of all the systems of oppression in every black space in America. And that's only just a start.
Yeah. You say that now, but black people don't seem to want better lives for themselves. There are so many things that we did wrong and continue to still do wrong in the face of injustice.
Malik, what are you even talking about?
Nah, I'm gonna speak my mind before y'all jump on me. When have I ever been ignorant to the struggle or plight of my own people? Right. I just don't think that we need to do better for ourselves. If we don't treat ourselves as the divine beings that we are, then we won't ever be treated as such. Now, I do agree that we are set up to act the way that we do systematically, but it's up to the individual to not portray the image that they want for us. Change begins at home. We all need to be on one accord.
Well, first of all, Malik, I never insinuated that. And I was confused before that came out of nowhere.
Whatever. Whenever I say something remotely intelligent, you guys always want to shake my opinions down. So I can never speak my mind. And when I want to, let me breathe sometimes. I may say something that you actually agree with.
Whatever you say, Malik, you're just doing too much. Vanna, you've been awfully quiet. Surely you have something to say about this.
Huh? Oh, I wasn't listening to you guys bickering. But I did hear the part where you said change starts at home. Elaborate.
What I said earlier, I mean, there are so many problems that we face in the black community that we don't realize and are directly affecting our class in America. Abe Lincoln did say a house divided cannot stand.
That man was not an abolitionist. He was an opportunist. There wasn't any statement he made directly and solely that he intended for the purity and goodness of black people in this country. He gave the South an ultimatum, which just so happened to free black people as a side. which they then figured that since these black people are free, they'll want to vote for me since I freed them. And why don't I give them some rights to up the votes, eh? But now he goes down in history as a hero. Therefore, that quote is a bit irrelevant. However, I get the gist. Do you realize that those same issues didn't just magically appear in the black household, community, and family? We aren't directly to blame for what happened. Everything that happened is necessary and a catalyst for change. If you don't see that, then you're too far behind to be saved. All black lives, women, men, LGBTQIA+ matter.
My point may contradict itself, but both of you failed to address the points that I mentioned. There are still plaguing issues nonetheless.
I mean, Malik is correct. All of these issues currently plague the Black community. And while I wouldn't agree that this is the main reason why we're not thriving in America, it's a huge part of a major setback. I mean, there's no logical explanation for the hatred of oneself other than brainwashing. Take a look at American history and look at the group that's most compared to slaves, the Jewish. And now look who's in charge of the largest corporations in the world and most of the media in the United States.
What do you mean by brainwashing? You do know that no one can make you do anything you don't want to do. Explain homophobia, which is almost a religion amongst black people, especially black men, misogyny, colorism, criticism of different types of black people, gang violence, texturism, classism, self-hatred, which has a multitude of subcategories. Shall I go on?
Is everything all right at home, Malik? You've never articulated your thoughts this well before.
And don't hit me with that. It just seems as if when these issues are brought up, no one seems to be able to answer the question. I didn't take you guys to be ignorant.
Hold up. Don't go slinging that word around. You can even answer your own question. Some of those ideas are not easy to expound upon. Most black people will never be able to properly address any of what you just said because our education system refuses to do anything other than start black history with slavery and end black oppression with the civil rights movement. While they are key components in the problems we face today, failure of social studies classes lies in the lack of addressing problems before, between, and after.
Also, even though we harp on slavery, the books don't fully inform students on everything that happened to us during slavery. And not to mention how men are the most talked about figures mentioned in the civil rights portion of our studies. And when women are mentioned, they're almost always light-skinned. Also, another problem that we find in the black community, I cannot think of anything more upsetting to me than colorism.
True. I can feel that there is no reason for us to be attacking each other for our own skin color, especially knowing that everyone is the same. Every race is kind of just a bunch of big factions when you really think about it.
And you lost me again.
Yeah, I'm not following you.
What I think he's trying to say is that from a scientific standpoint, race does not exist. In actuality, race is just the division of people, and it's used more to divide than accentuate the beauty of creations of some races. If that's what you were trying to say, personally, I feel as if division is not as bad between people in some instances.
That's kind of what I was saying, but not really. I just don't feel like race is that important. If we were all together, then all of our problems would dissolve. Lately, I've been thinking, and maybe we do need to bury the hatchet. I mean, really, look at the black people in this country. Sure, we aren't the best off right now, but we are slowly starting to move forward like a train. We are resilient people. There are occasional setbacks every now and then, but you can't attribute that to those black people putting themselves in unfavorable positions. Let's be realistic here. You can't not all deny that some black people do want better for themselves and then end up in situations that can go on to complain about. It's almost as if what brings us down is more than the problems in the black community. We're the biggest downfall at times and no one seems to care. Then when white people call us out on those things, then we generally do wrong and we get mad at them. It's the most backwards way of thinking I've ever witnessed.
I guess I see what you're saying. However, I don't think that you're looking at it from the correct side of history. Maybe you should truly grasp the fact that we are not the source of the problem, bro. I mean, the same people who judge us for being who we are, acting the way we act, looking the way we look, talking the way we talked, are propelling issues forward that their ancestors put in motion. Think about it. I mean, most Black people who live in quote unquote bad neighborhoods are not there because they wanted to be. They're there because a vicious cycle is present in the select demographic. And it all starts off at school. Nothing back to what Nabia said earlier. It starts with education. First off, due to being in a low-income neighborhood, you can only expect so much out of the education system.
Sadly, we only learn about slavery in schools and that our history is slavery. Imagine the effect that this has on a child.
Exactly. If you are not taught at home about the beauty of being Black, which most young Black kids aren't because their parents weren't taught the exact same thing, then of course a young mind is put under the impression that them being Black is equivalent to being a slave. Once that instilled in their head, they grow up thinking that they cannot do anything other than subconsciously be exploited by the media and industry.
They're never taught that they can be lawyers or doctors or accountants, or taught how many great things that Black people have done for this country that they don't get credit for.
For instance, the only programs usually available for disenfranchised youth are sports programs. While there's nothing wrong with that, and they keep our young Black males out of the streets, they serve as distractions to them at the same time. Considering only 6.5% of high school students go to the NFL and about 1.3% of students go to the NBA, this leaves the rest of the percentage out in the dark. You also see so many of them drop out once high school is over, and then try to become a part of the entertainment industry. This form of entertainment is usually rapping because of the environment they're put in.
Correct. Naturally, since the industry is highly oversaturated, many never get their big break. The result of that is the use of drugs to make a living or to steal to eat their next meal. All because education is not given to or stressed enough in the Black community. Now, while this may not be the case for everyone in the hood, this is a very prevalent issue in the underprivileged communities, which consist mostly of Black people and people of color. Just saying, this is more than just an obstacle we need to overcome.
Agreed.
Well, I guess that makes sense. I've never looked at it from that angle before. It still doesn't fully explain a lot of the things that we ignore.
Contrary to popular belief, education is free, babe. I mean, it is, but it isn't. You get the gist. There are so many ways that you could view different perspectives in this situation. While seeing both sides are important, I do believe that there is a wrong and a right side.
Personally, I don't think our inner issues need to be discussed on large platforms unless they're between two parties of people of color. Even then, I'm still not so comfortable with it. This only gives white people the courage to feel like they have a reason to criticize and ridicule us for our societal disability. What a crazy mindset to have, considering the problems they have inflicted on us. I mean, that's so weird that they don't see the direct correlation between their gain and our oppression. Also, another thing that makes me mad is this inviting non-Blacks to the barbecue mentality. It's so toxic and detrimental. It all starts with the letting in one white person due to the fact that they're not racist.
The thing is that we should show more appreciation towards white people that are sticking their neck out for us when they don't really have to. A little thanks every now and then wouldn't hurt at all.
I'm confused about why we're thanking white people for not being racist. It's their job to undo the cycle of oppression that their ancestors put forth with all them benefiting from today.
Well, in response to that, I would say that it's good white people are protesting for us and whatnot, but that's not what they should be doing. I mean, we should stop kissing up to white people. Honestly, it's like patting a fish on the back for swimming. And on another note, I mean, we do find, in most cases, not picking sides means siding with the opposition.
They get praised for doing the bare minimum. Malik, you will understand better if you actually had an encounter with racism. After all, didn't you say that your high school was predominantly white? Poor baby, you must have been brainwashed.
Wow.
Dang, Nambia, that was a bit harsh. I don't know if you had to say he was brainwashed. I mean, y'all might have different opinions, but just try to see both sides, you know? Masculinity is quite fragile.
Right, girl. You could have phrased that a little better. I understand that he may not be looking at things the right way. However, you might fare better considering his background and why he might feel the way he feels. Even then, that does not give us the right to criticize him in that manner. You both need to apologize to him.
But
No buts. Do the right thing.
What's up? What happened earlier?
I may or may not have said something out of pocket that may or may not have hurt someone's feelings.
Malik, spit it out. I don't have time for you to have your tail between your legs.
Okay, look. In a nutshell, I said that Black people need to want to be helped for change to come. Black people do so much wrong because we have been taught to do so. And not a single person has changed my mind, in my opinion.
You thought this was okay because?
Because I was making a point. I was making a statement that is true, but no one steps up and says anything.
I see where you were going with this, but why did you come on so strong? You can get your point across without practically talking over everyone. Do you think everyone else's point was valid? Ivana and Nambia were just making solid points, and so were you. But you would have never known because you were busy blabbing over everybody.
I get that. But you can imagine the many things I've never been able to speak my mind because no one wants to listen. This is the one-man street. I've been looked over so many times by y'all, and I'm honestly sick of it. Y'all are upset because for once I have something valuable to say, and I made y'all hear it.
You don't have to do too much. Like I was saying, you need better communication skills. You made good points, but in a way, you dismiss the importance of justice and equality. African Americans have to want better for themselves because we are the only ones who are really going to fight for our rights. However, we still need to rally up and do what we can, regardless of people who may not want to help, because one day they will have to be thankful for us. There has to be a leader for there to be followers. People may not want better for themselves because they don't believe there is better.
See, stuff like this gets me heated. I'm not allowed to speak my mind, but when a girl does it, it's okay. I respect each and every one of you, but I am constantly looked over and I'm not having any facts straight or not, being smart enough. And for once, I finally say something worth someone's time, and for what?
I get how you feel, but let's be honest. People don't like to listen to you because sometimes you're stubborn and don't allow for others to have a healthy debate with you. It's either you're right or nothing at all. Get a grip, for real.
I understand that I can be hard of hearing when it comes to debating, but I want to get what I had to say. I'm not trying to get it together. I'm trying to get it together.
I get it, but all Nambia wants for you is to get her point.
Well, after leaving cafe, I am definitely understand where Nambia was coming from. I was just so big-headed that I couldn't see what she meant. I tried to apologize, but I don't know if she truly felt that it was sincere.
We're all friends, so I know she'll forgive you. Just calm down. Sometimes you need to tie the red-headed monster anger up.
All right, class, we're going to start off with speeches today, and I want to start with Ivana's group first.
Hello, all. I want to talk to you all about something that's very important to me. I am using my voice, no matter how big or small, to speak up about Black issues. It saddens me that we live in a world where Black people are still treated like Black people. I can justify being scared to go outside because I am nothing more than a Black woman beyond the four walls of my home. It's hard not to think this way. But Black power doesn't let racial atrocities discourage you.
Let it empower you. Hold the people that are accountable to the standard they should be held at. Stop praising white people for speaking out about injustice. It's their responsibility, just as it is yours, to help fix the pain that their ancestors have brought on. And before you say it, do you know why we still hold white people responsible of slavery? Because Black people reap the effects of racism every single day. Black men are falsely incarcerated and killed. Black women are raped and thrown into sex slavery and degraded in the media every day. Black people in general are denied services and rights. Black LGBTQIA+ are beaten and killed. And we're ridiculed for how dark our skin is. Stop biting your tongue about how comfortable white people are and people that choose not to speak out on unjust and wrong in the world. Okay, black people have been uncomfortable for a millennium. And it's time we make that known, and it's time that everyone else feels that as well. It's the only way to bring about true change. You shouldn't be comfortable knowing what black people have gone through and are still going through. The reason why I'm reiterating this is because we don't have the privilege to be comfortable. Make sure you're educating those around you, because there are still people who don't believe in racism.
We trod down the path paved by the mavericks of broken saddles and the unfortunate reaching for everlasting happiness. For this is all that we are told. The bliss we seek is less than a blink and a prayer away. Cry not, for sorrow's elixir has brought forth nothing but mere disdain for the spirit of worthy men. At this time, I ask that these words bellow in the hearts of the fighting Negro. Rise from your knees and seek the time of true potential. Seek its moment to bask in the sun's light. Let even the tiniest glimmer of your ebony skin pierce the coldest hearts of those more devout than we. We rise now.
Happiness, justice, truth, all of which are pleasantries have been denied to us for eternity and will soon lift our spirits with great jubilation. The oppression that sits upon your brow will be overtaken by the feeling of splendor caused by conglomerate of every brown babe's foot and the piteous woman and the voluptuous man's toe in a march towards land where every hue of our dark flesh can be celebrated, for no tables have turned. Whoever takes this with aggression, may your pain be healed and your spouts of hate be silenced. I emote not hatred, but instead peace amongst my Black brothers and sisters. I wish not any harm on the Native American, Korean, Indian, Anglo-Saxon, or Spaniard. Hear me clearly, the vision I seek, and to cast upon every brown soul the realization that they are the physical embodiment of divine rhapsody. I digress. I cry not for the presence I see, but a blink and a prayer away.
Being Black is the biggest flex ever. Everyone wants to be like us, man. Clearly we're dope. When have y'all seen any group of people do anything as lit as us? African American, African, Caribbean culture is pop culture. I mean, I don't know what I would do if I was any other race. I'm so thankful to be born in the skin I'm in. We have so much flavor in this that we have no choice but to be mad at us. They're just not and never will be as cool as us. If you're Black, you are a hero walking amongst mortals. I would never trade being Black for anything in this world. And I hope all of my brothers and sisters would never either.
I found that the motivation theory is prominent in our everyday lives, no matter how severe the need is. There's always motivation within us as humans to fulfill a need, whether that be to survive, eat, sleep, reproduce, etc. One example of motivation theory that I've seen is the resilience of Black people in this country. Now, I won't come with the rundown like last time, but in order to survive, we need to quite literally raise hell. When we're peaceful, we're killed. When we're silent, we're killed. When we're violent, we are killed. So if this is what it takes to get people to hear our voices, then so be it. I wholeheartedly support the riots and the movement. I will never let my voice be silenced. Black lives cannot be replaced. Hey Malik, sorry about earlier today. I didn't consider your feelings and why you might feel the way that you do.
Even though I can't really answer for him, we know that you didn't mean it.
Yeah, it's cool. I talked it over with Trina, and I don't think it's a big deal. We may have a big difference of opinions. You just express yourself in a different way than I do. To be fair, I was in the wrong. I was just trying to get my point out without actually hearing what others had to say. Though I'm a little upset about the brainwashing thing, but I will get over it. We can agree to disagree.
I see what you were saying earlier. We came to the conclusion that you were correct. While we don't need to address the issues we face with each other on a major scale, as people we brush them off too much. We demonstrated one of those problems today. That problem being that we too often tell other Black people how to feel about their race and what happens.
Either way, we hope we didn't push you away.
Nah, man, I understand what you said, and I get it. I'm going to need a little bit of help retwisting my brain.
Don't worry, love. We got you. It's love over that this way anyway.
Like I said before, there will never be hard feelings. We are all friends and have been friends forever.
Yeah, it should never have come this far again. If we're going to be part of the next generation of leaders, we need to learn how to become more diplomatic and speak to each other better.
Well, it was good talking to you guys. I got to go work on my speech for tomorrow.
Good night.
Good night.
Night.
Good night.
Mr. Brommer, since you didn't show up to class yesterday, I will allow you time today to complete it.
I'm Leek Romer, and this is the speech that I wrote dedicated to the Black struggle. Please open your hearts and minds, but most of all, enjoy. What if you were given the power to construct a land where everything is designed to your likeness? A country in specific. Well, I know how I would construct mine. My country will be a democracy, a place filled with equal opportunity and all-inclusiveness. Since our country is also mislabeled as a plain democracy, I grew up believing in our country that this was the worst democracy that was ever created. This gave me the aspirations of one day living in one. Therefore, everyone in my country will have a true say. A great dream, right? Well, sadly, my declaration is reduced to nothing more than just that. In the world that we live in today, it is hard to believe that we face many of the injustices to society in America previously discussed in this class. We've discussed and studied the United States and the events that took place within that have made America the place that it is today. Among the many triumphant victories that we have achieved, how many were misplaced successes and the being conniving and evil to get what we want? Was it all worth it? America has not necessarily blossomed into the nation that we thought it would. For as long as Europeans had their descendants, our African descendants have just been impacted as long as the way. Slavery to the 1960 civil rights movement, to lynchings, apartheid, the oppression was continuous. Though some were not going to stand for it, and due to their valiant efforts, Black people are free today. This is possible in what seemed like a lost cause. Slavery in America is the most important history in America, and we should be informed of it everywhere and leave no stone unturned. But however, this is not the case back then, seeing as we didn't learn from biblical times and biblical slavery. History repeats itself without fail, and it has again and again. Seeing as if we are a nation of people who are mostly free, there is evidence of some compromise in the Constitution regarding the people in service of another without compensation. This is the issue otherwise known as slavery. See, the problem with that, as faced in America, was seen as something so unsolvable to some, but there were many people who were against it to let it slide regardless of congressional intervention. I believe that in the course of America's history, we have often committed many moral atrocities that have tried to atone for slavery, to Japanese prison camps, to the building of a wall that keeps people out of a country that doesn't even belong to us. We provided a so-called reparations, and we've done wrong, but have we really? The damage was irreversible. Forgivable, sure, in God's eyes, but in the hands of a non-believer, the apology of a nation could mean little to nothing. Also, at times, we have tried to be good. Our efforts have proven to have nothing less than power grab and attempt to conquer already less than thriving nations, manipulative and deceitful. We tell ourselves that in the country that we live in, it was founded on Christian beliefs, when really we have only really went against God's will and played his role in the making of this country instead of letting his will thrive. Now, I myself can say that I am more privileged to live in America. We are only the best of the worst. To be able to truthfully make that statement, it hurts. Though it's a sad problem to bear, and I am a minority and have witnessed some of the most disgusting things that this country has and done towards black people, and it's not the majority population. In conclusion, I do not think that it was worth to be founded of the United States. We're not responsible for our actions, and we have been. This is such a way to go for this country, and this is a place worth living in and fighting for. Though for now, I will live with that, and I will take what I have gotten, and I will fight to the bitter end. Hopefully one day we can all stop this hating, love each other, and finally, eventually, call a truce.